and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. So today is going to be my wrap up for middle grade March. So this year was the first time that I took part in middle grade March, and it certainly won't be the last because I had so much fun doing this read along. I decided to take part this year because middle grade is something that I have wanted to get into more and wanted to try out, so I thought perfect time to give some books that I had on my shelves a go. And because the prompts were so varied as well, I thought that it would be a really good chance for me to read from a couple of different genres of middle grade, so that when it comes to purchasing middle grade in the future, that I would have a better idea as to what I would like or what I wouldn't like, and I could maybe discover some new authors where I'd be like, right, okay, I really like this, so check out what other middle grade books they have. So let's just jump in. So the first prompt was to read a book with 5 or more words in the title. So I picked up The House with the Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. I have had this on my shelf for a wee while and I actually mentioned it in a recent video, and there was loads of people saying that this was an amazing book, so I was definitely eager to pick it up. So the fact that it fit one of the prompts, I was like, it's a sign, like, let's just get this read. So this is basically about our main character Marinka, and her gran is Baba Yaga, and they guide the dead. Basically they help them pass over, so they guide them to the next realm of, I was going to say their life, but it's not really their life, their afterlife. And she's not really feeling it, you know. She wants to have adventures, she wants to have real friends, she wants to make some really meaningful connections with people, and she doesn't really want to be constantly moving around and helping the dead. She wants to be around people who are living and making some really great friends. So there's a wee bit of turmoil there between her and her gran. And I mean, we know I love a witchy book, so I thought that this would be right up my street and a really good starting point for my middle grade journey. I hate when people say journey, but like, what other word is there? So I thought if any book was going to grab me, that it would be this one. It's witches, and you know, it looked really cute and spooky and it had great feedback, so I was really excited going into it. I had a mixed experience with this book. In the beginning I thoroughly enjoyed it and I felt like the pacing was really great. That's something that reading these books I have realised, is the pacing in middle grade is just like my cup of tea, because you're like, boom, action for the first page. And like, we all know I hate a slow book, so that's something that I have definitely enjoyed from this experience and from this book. However, the drawbacks for me for this were, I really loved the story, but I didn't care about any of the characters, and I am such a character driven reader, but I just really struggled to connect to Marinka or any of the friends that she meets throughout this. I think my favourite character in this book was the house, and you know, it probably shouldn't have been, but I did enjoy it. I liked the story. I felt the drawback with the story for me was that we get plot points and developments so far into the book that like, you sort of know the outcome because you just don't have enough time left in the book to really explore any other option. So I knew how this book would end, probably for the last third, and that was a bit disappointing for me. I appreciate that this is aimed at younger children, but I feel like, you know, the amount of pages that I had left to read shouldn't have dictated how the ending went. I feel like that's just poor writing, regardless of whether it's for kids or whether it's for adults, so I didn't enjoy that. However, I rated this book a 3-star because I really loved the food descriptions in this book. I did really love the character of the house, and I really liked some of the points that this book made. I think that kids would get a lot out of it. For me though, it was just missing some sort of really good plot points and the developments that we got further to the end of the book really shouldn't have dictated how it ended, so I was really disappointed with that. But this book is just so aesthetically pleasing to me. It's so witchy, but also really adorable, and there's like illustrations in here as well that are just gorgeous. Like, look at this one that's space themed, beautiful. All of the wee chapters when they begin have these gorgeous wee like flower skulls at the top as well, which is my aesthetic to a T. Like, I didn't realise that until I picked up this book, but it actually is. I'll show you my favourite picture of the houses. This is one house meeting another house, and I'm not going to lie to you, when I was reading this in bed with my husband, I actually squeed because I was just really pleased that the house had made another wee house friend. Like, I was buzzing about it, and I was like, oh my god, what if the boy houses and the girl houses have wee bungalow babies? Like, and I was really excited about it for absolutely no reason at all. There was no need for me to be hitting like the level of excitement that I was, or a house making pals with a house, but like, I fucking loved the house. Next prompt was orphan main character, and so I had planned to read Sisters of Moonlight for this prompt because I read Sisters of Shadows, the first book in the series, last year, and there was a lot of orphan characters in that, so I was like, cool, I'll check that off the list. However, I am not counting that because the second book read a lot more YA than middle grade, so I am doubling up my prompts. And so the next prompt is a book set in Asia or featuring an Asian main character. So I read Midsummer's Mayhem by Rajani LaRocca, and this was just such an amazing book to me. So I used this as the Asian main character prompt and also as an orphan character prompt because there's a character in here who is an orphan. So I've doubled up, and I hope that's not cheating too much, but I'm sure it's fine. Like, I don't think the middle grade police are going to turn up at my door and be like, open up, it's a police! So I think we'll be fine. I don't know why I did that, but anyway, I was completely and utterly blown away with this book, to be completely honest with you. I thought that out of the list of books that I had set for myself, if any book was really going to grab my whole heart, it was going to be The House with the Chicken Legs, but it was actually Midsummer Mayhem. I absolutely devoured this. I read it over the course of 2 days, and I usually don't take breaks at work because I'm like stupidly busy, so I'll usually just like grab a piece while like I'm working away. But I actually took my breaks at work just so that I could jump back into this world and spend some time with these characters. It was fantastic. So we have our main character Mimi, and she loves bacon. Her dad's a food critic, and she notices that he's behaving a little odd, and she takes part in a local baking contest, and she is trying to win so that she has a chance to bake with her idol, basically. But she starts baking with some strange and mysterious ingredients and notices that our family are all acting a bit bizarre. So it's a bit of a mystery, and there's just so much food and baking chat in here that I really loved. And between this and The House with the Chicken Legs, it's something that I am definitely going to look for going forward in my middle grade books. It was something that was just so comforting to me that I really enjoyed. So if anybody has any recommendations for middle grade or other genre books that have a lot of food chat and food descriptions in them, please leave comments for me because I need all the books. This was just amazing. The characters had me gripped from the beginning, and I really connected to Mimi as a main character. I feel like she was very relatable, she was really honest, she was really funny at times, and I loved the way she spoke about food in this book. I really love to cook and I really love to bake, and for me, like, it is the way that I most commonly show affection for people is that I will bake or I will cook for them. So if I've ever cooked for you, or if I've ever gave you anything that I have baked, it's because I really care about you. Like, that's just like my love language. If I have taken the time to make you something and cook you something, then it's because I really care about you. And if I've ever invited you over for dinner, it's because I really want to make you feel welcome and nurtured and safe in my home. So the fact that Mimi has a lot of the same feelings about her baking and why she bakes for people as I do, I think really helped me connect to her. And it's just such a big thing in my family is food. Even for like when I was wee, like I remember so instinctively like the dishes that my gran or grandads would make for me if I was unwell. And like I'm Scottish through and through, and so my granny Betty makes the best clootie dumpling. And like for years and years for my birthday, I didn't want birthday cake, and my gran would make me a big clootie dumpling for my birthday, and I'd have a birthday dumpling as opposed to a birthday cake. And like just things like, you know, if I was stressed out or I was like having a hard time in my teen years and I was maybe on my period and I was just feeling rough, like my mum would make macaroni cheese. And you know, like I do the same thing now. Like if I know that Simon's having a hard day, I'll make like one of his favourite dinners, or if he's going to have like a few late night study sessions or late nights at work, then I'll, you know, make a Mars bar cake because it's his favourite. It's just something that me and my family always do. And there was just a lot of that in here within their family dynamics, and a lot of why Mimi bake certain things for certain people to make them feel a certain way. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Not only that, but the story was brilliant. And obviously because it's Midsummer's Mayhem, you know, it's taken inspiration from A Midsummer's Night's Dream, and there was a lot of that in there as well, which I thought was fantastic. And like I didn't want to say it was a straight retelling because it wasn't, but there was certainly enough elements of the original Shakespeare in here that somebody could get a taste for it. And we know that like I adore Shakespeare, so this was done in a really great way, and I think that it's really engaging and really entry level, I guess, to maybe open people up to experiencing Shakespeare as opposed to just like a straight modern retelling. It was just fantastic, and I could not praise this book enough. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it could be a contender for one of the best books I have read this year. It was great, and it just like grabbed me by the whole heart. I got like so invested in the characters in this, and also something really cool that I've never seen done in a book before is that the most common things that Mimi makes and the things that she makes for her competitions, there's actually the recipe cards on the back of the book so that you can make the same treats that Mimi made as well. And I am definitely need to go and try out some of the recipes in here. That's just something that I haven't seen done before, and I think that that's so cool. Like if you were to gift this for a child, like you could make a full theme out of it and, you know, read the book together, and then once you've read the book together you could bake the goods together. And I just think that that's so adorable and something that a kid would really enjoy. I would really enjoy, and I'm a grown woman, but this was fantastic. And I've since discovered that Rajani LaRocca has actually written a companion novel to this called Much Ado About Baseball, and I can't find a paperback version of that book, so I am going to repurchase this in hardback and get Much Ado About Baseball in hardback as well, so that I can read it. Because even though like I clearly don't care about baseball as much as I care about baking, I'd still love to read her writing and get to know some different characters in it. So this was amazing. It was a 5-star read for me, in case you couldn't tell by just how much I have gushed about this book. It was just phenomenal. I would highly recommend anybody to check this out. It's no super fantasy, you know, if you've read A Midsummer Night's Dream you're probably going to enjoy it. It's no super fantasy. If you just like sort of a cosy mystery, it definitely has that feel to it, so check it out. So the next prompt was to read a contemporary middle grade, and I just recently got a whole big box of my childhood books back from my mum and dad's, and there was so much Jacqueline Wilson in there that I feel like I needed to pick a Jacqueline Wilson. So I decided to pick Sleepovers by Jacqueline Wilson. This is one of my favourite Jacqueline Wilson books when I was younger, so I decided it would be fun to reread it as an adult. It is like a super quick reread, it is such a skinny book, but I feel like for it being such a short book, it packs a really powerful punch. So we have our main character Daisy, and she has a friend group, and they call themselves the Alphabet Club because all their letters are like A, B, C, D, E. And every single member of the Alphabet Club has sleepovers for their birthdays. It's coming up to her birthday. She doesn't have sleepovers because she has a sister. and her sister is disabled, and so she has some reservations about introducing her friends to her sister. She is worried that they will be judgmental. She's worried that, you know, they could potentially take the piss out of her sister for being disabled, and she's worried what they will think about her based on the fact she has a sister that is disabled as well. And for it being such a short book, and about it being, you know, something as simple as having a sleepover for your birthday, I just think it's really well done. I think that it definitely challenges people's perceptions on disability, and I think that it also challenged our main character's perception of her sister's disability based on how she was worried that her friends would react. And I think it's done in a really easy to read, non-preachy way. I think that it is just quite thought-provoking and really open and really honest. You know, it is basically a book of dialogue about disability, and, you know, no way our friends are accepting of it, and, you know, there's stuff happening. I don't want to spoil it plot wise, but there's some really good discussion in here, and I thoroughly enjoyed it on a reread. It was a 5-star for me. I actually found myself getting like a wee bit annoyed and a wee bit emotional at parts, and although it was one of my favourite books, my favourite Jacqueline Wilson's when I was growing up, I don't actually remember how I felt at the time, but reading this as like a fully grown me, it was really interesting, and it was still up there with one of my favourite Jacqueline Wilsons, I would say. I think that it's really well done. I really like the characters in it, and I think that it's just a really great discussion that I think should be happening. You know, I think that people still do have a lot of preconceptions about people with disabilities, and I don't think that people are always necessarily as understanding of people with disabilities as they should be. And so I actually think that everybody should read this and take notes for this book. I just thought it was brilliant, and I really enjoyed delving back into Jacqueline Wilson. I think that next year I potentially might want to read all the Jacqueline Wilsons that I have on my shelf and get the rest of the ones that I have lost since I was little, because I just had such a great time jumping back into this and sitting with some of her characters again and getting on board with her writing again. She was always an author that I really loved. I think it would be cool to reread some of my favourites and go through them and reread them as an adult and see how my life experience has changed potentially any of my views on her books. So then the last prompt was a book older than you, and I struggled with this a wee bit because I didn't want to purchase a book. And the only books on my shelf that I were like, well, they're defos older than me, are the Narnia books, but I also didn't want to start a new series. And I know, like, I don't have the self-control to just read the first book and not read the rest. Like, I would end up binging them. Like, and I just don't have the time because I am trying to finish all the series that I have currently started, never mind starting new ones. So, I was hoping that some of the Creepers books were going to have been published just before I was born, but unfortunately they weren't. However, some of the Goosebumps books were, and I loved the Goosebumps books growing up as well. I've got a couple on my shelf. The couple that I own physically are the ones that were published before I was born. However, I have Scribd, and so there was a couple of the Goosebumps classic audiobooks on Scribd, so I decided to pick one via audio, and it was one that I read when I was younger and one that was like a fast favourite. And so I read Stay Out of the Basement by R.L. Stine. So this is such a creepy book, and like I actually thought it was quite creepy as an adult listening to this. I thought it was so well done. So we have our main characters, and they're a brother and sister. Their dad has been laid off, he's a scientist, and he's been up to all sorts of weird experiments in the basement, and he like won't let them go down and is constantly yelling at them, stay out of the basement. And their mum has to leave because I think her sister or her mum gets sick, so she needs to go away for a while and leaves the dad in charge. And they start to notice quite a rapid decline in their dad. He is really irritable, he's angry, he's constantly working, he has no time for them, he's not really looking after himself in terms of eating or drinking, and they have no idea what is going on, but they obviously decide that they want to find out. So for spoiler reasons, I'm not going to tell you what happens in this book. But it was brilliant. This was another 5-star for me. I really enjoyed it, and I liked going back to the Goosebumps books because those and the Creeper books were sort of where my obsession with horror really started, and so it was nice to have a wee bit of a throwback, and it was actually oddly comforting for me to just have this on. And I remember reading this book and being like quite creeped out as a kid, and then they did this as one of the TV movie adaptations and I loved it. There was so much green slime, just so much creepiness. I remember one scene so vividly and it just lives in my head rent free, and so it was just really cool to jump back in, and I had a really fun time with it. And I think that that's something else that I have discovered whilst I've been reading these books, is they just feel really cosy and nostalgic, and they are quick, easy reads. And although obviously Jacqueline Wilson and Goosebumps were giving me proper nostalgia, although I had not read the other 2 books before, like, they were certainly giving me like cosy, homey feelings, and that's something that I really enjoyed and something that I seek out in books. I've been rereading the Sookie Stackhouse books this year. They give me the same feeling. I love rereading Little Women for that reason, because that gives me that feeling. So hopefully I go on to discover more middle grade that I really love and thoroughly enjoy, that also give me those vibes. So that was my middle grade March, and I'm really pleased about it. I wasn't putting any pressure on myself, to be honest, to fulfil all the prompts. Originally I had just planned to read The House with the Chicken Legs, Sisters of Moonlight, and Midsummer's... oh my god, I was going to say Midsummer's Murder. It is not Midsummer Murders. Midsummer Mayhem. But I'm glad that I managed to get a couple of extra books in there and hit all the prompts. I had so much fun doing this. Please hit me with any middle grade recommendations in the comments that you think that I would enjoy, and I will get them added to my list, because it's definitely something that I want to explore a wee bit more. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that you are reading at the moment, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!